Ooh, this is like my third take in 2 days. Fun. Hi, my name is Megan, and I had spinal fusion surgery on June 26th of 2017. I believe that's around like 4.5 years ago now. Precaution right here, I am not a doctor. I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form. Everything I'm saying is just simply from my experience. I actually made a video, which I didn't think was going to get a lot of views, just for myself, so that I actually had some sort of memory of what exactly happened in my surgery and recovery and whatnot. But most of it was obviously my dance, because I was very sentimental about my dance journey. I was shocked when a lot of people watched it, because I know someone commented saying, the video is very focused on your dance, but a lot of us want to find out more about your scoliosis and that story. So I told them I'd make a Q&A, and I never did. But here I am now doing that. I'm going to give the quickest rundown of what happened. So I've been doing dance throughout my entire childhood, and then afterwards I ended up joining basketball for my middle school years from 6th to 8th grade. And I think it might have been 6th grade when my swimming coach and my tita actually mentioned I should probably get checked by like a doctor, get an x-ray or something, because my back didn't look straight. It was like kind of curvy. I got an x-ray and found out that I did have scoliosis. I actually had like I really can't remember the exact degrees anymore, but it maybe was something like 35 to 42 degrees. And that means you have mild scoliosis. So I was put in a brace, which I wasn't a fan of, for maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. I genuinely cannot remember. It's been a long time. But yeah, I wore that for a bit during my middle school years. My spine, can't speak. In the x-ray, we saw that my curve actually went down to like maybe 25 to 30 degrees, which was great. And since it looked like on the x-ray I was going to have much more growth left, it was like, okay, she'll be fine. Likely to increase a little bit, but because I didn't have a growth spurt left probably and not much to grow, it wasn't going to get that bad. And then in 9th grade, I actually went back into dancing, but I was a lot more serious about dancing this time. So I did a lot of contemporary, a lot of lyrical, a bit of hip hop, and a little bit of jazz as well. So that was really fun because I was part of the dance troupe of my high school. It was so fun. But the thing is, when you, as a lot of dancers would know, when you do contemporary lyrical, you tend to be way more flexible. You do back bends, handstands, cartwheels, splits. In those maybe first 2.5 years of dance, I basically noticed that my back was starting to hurt a lot more. We just got an x-ray, we all knew I had scoliosis, had a back brace, so let's just see if everything was fine. And we noticed that the curve actually got worse by a lot, and it was worse than when we first found out I had scoliosis. It went up to 62 degrees. I had an S curve, meaning I had 3 curves, because like an S, you have one curve here, one curve here, one curve here. So my biggest curve was 62 degrees, and that was very bad. I'd never had surgery before, never had an IV line, never had a blood test. We looked at what the limitations were if I didn't get that surgery, because you could still get it as an adult, but it is more risky. It is a lot more difficult than if you're younger. And the risks of not getting the surgery were my spine was basically going to keep twisting and curving, and the degree was getting worse. Eventually, I would almost have like a hunch, and that would have meant that potentially the spine itself could end up pressing on some of the organs, and that is a threat on your life. Science. I wasn't going to be able to do my final year of dance in high school because obviously I got the surgery in 2017 of June, and I graduated May of 2018. And if you didn't know, the surgery, full recovery from the surgery is 1 year, so I wouldn't have been able to dance my senior year. I got as many questions as I could from the comments of my scoliosis dance story video, and then I just wrote it all down, and then I'm just gonna try and tackle as many as I can. So, this is one problem about doing this Q&A video 4.5 years after your surgery, is that you tend to forget a lot of things, and in terms of like, oh, what actually happened in your surgery. So we're breaking it up into 5 different sections. We have preparation, then we have anesthesia, then we have surgery, recovery, and then at-home recovery. So if you've may noticed, the outfit is different, and maybe the lighting's different, and the camera position's different also, because when I recorded yesterday, it was a little bit of a fail. My card was full, and then I had to do some tasks around the house. So here we are filming day 3 now of this one video. I am not likely to have remembered many details, so I screenshotted a lot of my answers that I wrote for these questions, because at least at that time that I was writing it, it was more fresh in my head. Okay, so I did get a lot of questions from people who were about to have surgery. So the first question is, how do you prepare yourself for surgery? And I'm gonna be honest, there is no exact way to prepare yourself. The very first one is just being mentally prepared that you are gonna go into surgery, you know? You don't want to go in there very unsure and uncertain. And so I feel like the best way to go about this is just to prepare yourself of what you're likely to expect when it comes to recovery. So for me, I watched a number of surgery vlogs, not people having surgery, because I cannot handle that. So you can watch a lot of videos of like scoliosis surgery vlogs. There's a lot of them on YouTube. You could also watch different Q&As, sort of like what this video is. And some people do better with less knowledge, because that might make them more anxious. Some people do better with a lot of knowledge. But I feel like going into it with some form of knowledge helps a lot. So tip number 2 is definitely, if you have long hair, even short hair, but especially if you have long hair, to tie it in a bun, tie it in pigtails, or braid it, because you won't be able to fix your hair throughout your entire recovery at the hospital. You won't want to move your hands or bring it up or anything. And it's not fun. Like, imagine just lying down stuck like a slab of rock, and it's not a fun feeling, because if you have hair in your face, it's like, imagine being like having it like this, and then you're just lying down and you're stuck. Another tip is, if you could have maybe like a Netflix or YouTube or whatever you want, anything that you can watch while you're at the hospital. Though you'll be pretty tired. I know I was. So I was watching Modern Family, but I didn't actually like properly watch it. I would just kind of like fall into sleep and then wake up again. But it's sort of nice because sometimes it sort of distracts you from the pain. So just having something to watch and maybe fall asleep to is a great distractor. If you could have a little stuffed toy with you, is great. Now let me explain why. So I had relatives visiting me in the hospital, and I got a number of small stuffed toys because of that. So luckily, my mom got the greatest idea. She would put it beside me, normally where I had my hand is, and she'd have my hand placed on it. Because I have thin skin and thin veins as well, the IV line hurt for me. So having my arm resting on that, like, it sort of eased the soreness and the pain that I had from that IV line. Also, you know, it's a great comfort system. So a really good tip to prepare for your surgery is to sort of watch videos to learn how you're supposed to be helping yourself get out of bed once your surgery is done. Now, this is definitely not like a couple days after your surgery, but especially when you get home, when you don't have nurses to help you get up and then get back into bed. Because I had a hard time when I got home, because I didn't have the arm strength to push myself up, because I can't remember how long honestly this lasted me, but you can't get up the normal way. Like, how you can't push yourself up like that. You can't just bring up your body. There are a lot of YouTube videos that sort of explain how you can do that. I highly recommend watching that. So the second question is, what should you bring to the hospital? Now, this I also can't necessarily help you in fully, because once again, this will vary from person to person. My tip is to ask your doctor, if you are going to surgery, what should you bring to the hospital. Personally, highly recommend wet wipes, because you won't be able to shower, so you don't feel great about yourself. You kind of feel gross. So just having someone get a wet wipe and then just wipe your face down feels a lot better, because it's like your face at least feels somewhat clean. Let's be real, you won't be able to do much in the hospital. A lot of the time you're just going to be recovering and resting and trying to get better and doing rehab. So I don't know if there is much that you should bring to the hospital. Okay, so the third question is, advice for anxiety before the surgery. This one is a tough one, have to admit. I am a very anxious person, and I have never had surgery. This was my only surgery. Never had a blood test, never had an IV line. This whole spinal fusion was the first for all of that, and I wasn't really a fan of needles. The way that I dealt with my anxiety personally was I prayed a lot. I talked to my parents, I talked to my friends, but also, like I've already said, I watched a lot of scoliosis vlogs and Q&As to sort of wrap my head around what would I be getting into. So yeah, many people in the world have gotten this surgery before, so it's sort of like you're not the only one in the world going through that. So the last question for the prep section is what to expect. Man, I feel like this question could be a video on its own. I guess let me just come with the first few things that come to my head, because this would be a long video if I went through all of it. So first thing, what to expect, you can't shower. The first time I really showered was when I got home from the hospital. Another thing, I didn't have an appetite, but I knew that if I did eat at least a little bit, small frequent meals, then it would help my body get stronger and recover faster. Getting up for the first time is very difficult. I know it'll range and differ from person to person, but for me personally, it was very difficult. I remember crying. And the weirdest part, it wasn't so much pain because I had medicine in me. It was more so just a lot to take in. The weirdest part for me is that when I first got up is I felt so heavy. The only way to explain the feeling is imagine if your entire torso was turned into a slab of rock. It cannot bend, it cannot twist. It is so heavy. It was sort of like one of those big milestones you had to make in order for your body to recover more. What to expect when it comes to pain, again, that will differ from person to person. For me, I was in pain, yes, but I was more uncomfortable than in pain because the medicine I was given was very strong. So now we're looking at the second section of questions, anesthesia. I actually got a lot of questions for this section. So how do they do it? How do they put you to sleep? Now, I cannot explain to you the science behind this because I'm not a doctor. What happened was a nurse came up to me and said, okay, we're going to now put you to sleep. This won't hurt. You can try counting to 10, but you're most likely not going to make it. I actually was very distracted. Because, okay, it was my first time in the operating room. I mean, you look around, it's so fascinating. It's such a white room, bright lights, so many people around you. It feels really weird. So I was very distracted by, I was looking at everything. I was like, this is the only time I'm going to see an operating room for this period of my life. So I was like, okay, well, let me just take it all in, stare at everything I see around me. So I didn't even bother counting. So I saw like this vial, and she was holding had like clear liquid. She got the needle, put it in. Also, I could be very wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is what's in my memory, okay? So she put the needle in, she got the liquid out, then she put it into, I think it was like a tube that goes to my IV line, and then put it in. So now the medicine's going in me, and then I didn't bother counting. Once again, I was just looking around me because I was so intrigued by the operating room. And the next thing you know, I just was asleep. It's sort of like how when you go to sleep on a normal basis, you don't remember falling asleep. You don't remember how you fell asleep. You don't remember what time you fell asleep. You just slept. So when it comes to that, there is no pain. It was very easy, very simple, very quick. And the nurses were really nice in explaining to me what was happening. So the third question is, could you have stayed awake if you really tried to? If you really wanted to, you could try, but you can't. I know people have said stories like, yeah, I've counted they said that I won't be able to count from 1 to 10, but I was actually able to. But in reality, you're going to fall asleep either way, and it's not going to hurt, so there's no worry about that. So the third section is surgery. Ooh, the fun part. The funny part is there isn't much I can say about this because once again, I was asleep. I was not awake for any of the surgery. The first part is, do you feel anything in surgery? No, you do not feel anything in surgery. Your anesthesiologist has got you covered. Believe me, they're monitoring you throughout the entire surgery till the very end of it, to making sure that you have the right amount of medicine in you so that you stay asleep, but that you'll wake up a couple hours after in the recovery room. So you might notice that maybe the camera moved again, and maybe my position's different. It's because my card was full again. Okay, so the next question is, do they ever take the rods out? So I actually have 2 titanium rods in my back with a number of other fun set of tools. The short answer is no, they don't take the rods out. My spinal fusion meant that they were basically going to fuse the rods to my bone. So yeah, no, these rods aren't coming out of my back. No, they can't. You won't, you don't, that's just not a thing. There is a different surgery though, where you might take the rods out. But this isn't the common spinal fusion surgery. There are different kinds of surgeries. There's a less invasive one, I believe, where I think they do it like 2 holes and then they twist. I honestly do not remember. I don't like looking at these videos, so I don't know what it is like, but it is less invasive. The one I had though, I had a whole scar down my back. They put the 2 rods in, screws and whatnot, and it's stuck there forever. The next question is, when do you walk? So I got up for the first time, I think it was like the day after surgery. I think day 1 of recovery, that's when I did. And then I think on day 3, I walked for the first time. Day 3 or day 4, I can't remember which one. Obviously you can check that out in my scoliosis video, like the first one I ever made. I'll just put a link down so that it starts where the information of my actual surgery goes to, so you don't have to actually watch my whole dance compilation. But yeah, so walking was interesting. You literally feel like you're learning how to walk for the first time, but it's manageable. You have people there, you have nurses helping you learn how to walk you around for a bit. You walk a little bit each day to the point where you're going to end up walking by yourself very slowly. So I guess just for a little bit of information, if no one wants to watch that other video again, because it is very long. They fused from T3, it was T3 to L1, but T3 is up here and down here. So I guess if we go like L1 to T3, I'll show a diagram here or here so you can actually see what that looks like. So the 4th section is recovery. This is recovery in the hospital. What tubes are you hooked up to? I had 5. Fun. I had, so actually the night before my surgery, I had 1 IV line, but then when I woke up from surgery, I had a 2nd IV line. So I had 2 IV lines, and then I had a catheter, because you can't go to the bathroom for a while, and then I had an epidural for the pain in my back, and then I had a drainage tube. I won't even explain to you what that was for, because I don't even know what that was for. Okay, so the second question is, I guess it's already answered, but the question is, how do you go to the bathroom? You don't for a while. You're in a catheter, but then after X number of days, you will go to the bathroom for the first time. Another question is, how did you deal with sleeping? Ooh, sleeping was probably my least favorite thing to deal with when it came to recovery. And that sounds funny, because the thing is, you're so tired you want to sleep, okay? And so when you do sleep, you want to stay asleep. You want to keep sleeping. I think the first time I was able to get like a full 8 hours of sleep was maybe day 2 or day 3 of recovery. So as you can imagine, sleep is very important to actually get a full recovery, and I struggled sleeping for the first time because the drugs kept me up. The medicine that I was given was strong, but it's also because it's a major surgery. To manage that pain, it's gonna take quite a bit of medicine. But yeah, so sleep I struggled with. It's funny. When I actually was able to fall asleep, I would fall asleep quite frequently. I'd take a lot of naps. I loved naps at that time. But then I'd be woken up to have rehab, and I would be very grumpy because I just wanted to sleep. I don't know how long this was, how long it lasted, but when I did come home to recover and all, I would sleep quite a bit. I would take a lot of naps and whatnot, because my body just exhausted. I just needed to rest, so that was the case. Okay, so the last question for recovery is, were there any ongoing pains? Like I've already explained, it was a lot of discomfort. There was pain, but more discomfort for me. Obviously, once again, this will vary from person to person. But I think the interesting thing that people probably want to know is, well, so do you feel any pain now? Do you feel relief? Yes, I do feel relief. The funny thing is you can't bend, so you can't slouch. The other thing that I noticed was, though, I do get pain still, funny enough. But I think it's more so because my body gets tired from, sitting straight. And then if I stand for too long, my back can get tired. It's more like a tired pain. It's not like a sharp pain. It's more like a tired pain, so then I need to sit for a while or even lie down. It helps and eases it quite a bit. But honestly, it's nothing like the pain I felt when I had scoliosis. So surgery helped with pain a lot. So the last section is out of hospital recovery. So this is me at home. I obviously mentioned a lot of things already from what it was like recovering at home. So if people want to know, can you still dance post-op? Let's put this into perspective. Wherever you have the rods in your back, you cannot bend that part. Think about it this way. What allows your body to bend? Your spine, right? Because your spine is made up of discs, I think. Vertebrae, I think. Science, once again, not an expert at that. Wherever you have the rods, that part can no longer bend, okay? So I'm actually going to do like a little demonstration, and I'll just add like a little clip of it here. And it's like showing you how well I can bend based on the x-ray, which you'll see also in the other side. For a long time, I wasn't allowed to twist. You're not supposed to twist. You shouldn't twist. Just don't twist. Do not twist. Okay, that's the rule. I can turn this way quite fine, but this one I'm limited. Like, God, I can sort of twist this way, but I can't. I feel strained when I turn this way. Like, this is my limit. I'd have to like physically move my whole body. It can't just be my torso, my neck, and I do not know why. I don't know like the explanation of why I can do it on my left but not my right, but that was definitely a change after surgery that I noticed. Now let's go back to the question. Can you dance post-operation? I would say for the first whole year, not really, no. More like no. Because so recovery takes 1 full year, okay? And since it's an expensive surgery, it is a major surgery, I was not going to risk anything of full recovery, okay? I didn't dance for a whole year. In fact, I think I even didn't dance for maybe a year and a half or 2 years. And to be honest, I never went back to hardcore dancing. If you look at my YouTube channel, I have all the different clips of all the dances I performed in high school that I have footage of. I have not done any dancing like that. Okay, since this is important to know, and this is the important thing, though. This has to do with my specific surgery, the kind of surgery I got, the kind of spinal fusion I got, the how long the fusion was. Once again, it really will depend from person to person. So take note of this. I recommend asking your doctor what is likely to happen. The case for me is I'm not allowed to bend my back. I physically cannot bend my back. So no, I cannot do back bends. I have not done a cartwheel since, even though I really want to. I can do splits because that is the lower half of my body, although I became not flexible because, not doing anything for like 2 years is... It puts you out of shape. Can't roll my body, that kind of thing. So I guess the best way to put it is contemporary and lyrical was sort of out of the question for me. I can do some form of it, but I will never do it to the best of my ability that I was able to prior to surgery. I won't be able to do any of the cool stunts, none of the cool flexible things. But the thing is, you can still dance. There's so many different forms of dancing. Remember, in beginner contemporary dance, you are still able to, you don't actually do any of the tricks of the stunt, so you can still do that kind of thing. But it is important that for a while after surgery, your body is out of shape, you have no stamina, so it's going to take quite a bit to actually get back to where you were. I miss dance, and I miss it so much. The feeling of having to have given up something you love so dearly, it was very difficult. I reached past a point where it's like, nothing's stopping you. Yes, you have titanium rods in your back, so you can't bend, but it doesn't mean you still can't dance to some extent. So, I would work on my flexibility at home. I'd be working my splits, nothing with the back, working my splits, doing stretches, doing a lot of ballet, just very easy ballet exercises. And then I ended up trying to learn small dances here and there. So I'm currently in university. I'm about to start my 3rd year. Last year I found one of the dance clubs at my uni, and they sort of do a lot of social dancing, and they teach you how to do these things. So you pay for the classes to learn how to do different, Latin classes. You can do salsa, ballroom, there's jive, there's also all sorts of different things. I wanted to do salsa. I did their free classes, and then I was like, this is so fun. This is a way for me to get back into it, because you didn't have to be flexible to do social dancing. These are dance styles I had never done before, so I was so excited. And then sadly, pandemic happened, so there's no in-person classes, but they did have a free class online, which was a Broadway class. And if you don't know me, you probably don't know me, but I love musicals with my whole heart. Broadway musical theater, chef's kiss. It's my other love and passion other than dance. So they had a Broadway one, and they taught something that was near and dear to my heart. They had one of the dance captains from the Legally Blonde production in Australia teach how to do the dance number What You Want. And this is special to me because in my high school we actually did the production of Legally Blonde, where I played Serena, one of the best friends of Elle, the cheerleader. So it was so wonderful because I actually recorded a video of me dancing it, and it was the first real deal dance I ever did, and I even videoed it, posted on my Instagram, and I got so much support and love, so that was really great. And it's fun. I'm doing TikTok videos now, TikTok dances, so there is no end to it. And yes, wow, this is a very long way to answer this question. So yes, you can still dance. Probably can't dance during that 1 year recovery time, but you can get back into it. But just know that your body is limited. You need to ask your doctor to find out what you physically can and cannot do. Yes. Okay, so I guess the second question, I already sort of addressed this. I sort of addressed all the questions. I just didn't mention the questions. But the second question is, are you still flexible? Back-wise, no. Like I've said, you can't bend wherever the rods are. But on the bottom, I didn't lose my flexibility, but I am slowly getting back my splits. The third question is, when did you go back into dancing? I guess I also did answer this question, but I definitely didn't dance for the first full year because I just needed to fully recover from that and feel confident that my body was okay and fully recovered. But I think I did start getting back into dance like a year and a half to 2 years after. Well, when I say get back to dance, like I said, just work on my flexibility, do a lot of stretching, actually move my body a bit more. I think I finally finished filming this video, and it like took 3 days and like how many different takes? 2 outfits even. So I hope honestly that this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, ease your anxiety, sort of giving you a bit more knowledge on someone else's experience on the surgery and dancing specifically. I'd love to make another Q&A video addressing any more questions anyone has. I read all the comments and I try to reply to all of them. I don't reply to them on time, but I'm actually working on making this channel more active. If anyone leaves comments in this video, I'm going to use that for the Q&A in the next video. But I'll also try to reply to these comments because some of these comments are time sensitive. I'm sorry if this video is very long. I'm not really great at like sit down videos. I do more like travel vlogs and really random things. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Peace.